Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from the AmIOverreacting subreddit from VastFarm8015, and it says, Am I overreacting? Not invited to husband's best friend's rehearsal dinner. And before we do get into it, I do want to give you a trigger warning that there is talk of miscarriage within the story, so if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. Throwaway so that if any of the people involved find this, it doesn't lead them back to my main account. My husband, 31 male, and I, 30 female, have been married for 5 years and together for 11. Husband and his best friend, BFF for short, were childhood best friends and their families are very close. I, on the other hand, am not very close to BFF because he lives far away and we don't see him very often. With that said, we get along fine and as far as I know, there's no bad blood. BFF is getting married in 2 weeks. It's a destination wedding and we'll be traveling 8 hours by plane and an additional 2 hours by train to attend. Husband is the best man. This past weekend, the wedding party was sent the details about the rehearsal dinner. BFF reached out to husband separately to let him know that no partners/spouses were invited. Okay, no problem. I can hang out with husband's family that night. I reached out to one of his sisters to plan something for that night and she informed me that husband's whole family, mum, dad, and 2 sisters were invited to the rehearsal dinner. I don't know anyone else at this wedding, so I'm on my own. I can't help but feel a little bitter that I'm being excluded. I'm okay with the whole no partners thing, but it hurts that the rest of husband's family was invited. Husband understands where I'm coming from and is a little annoyed on my behalf, but doesn't want to rock the boat. One of husband's sisters, the one I texted, is pissed and wants to boycott the rehearsal dinner and hang out with me, but she doesn't really like BFF, so she's biased. Mother-in-law and father-in-law won't let us skip the dinner because they also don't want to create any issues. Am I overreacting? So a commenter asks OP, if the family are all invited, this seems very strange. Was your name left off the invitation? Maybe it was an error. Your husband could ask if it was a mistake you were left off the invite in a jovial way. Otherwise, surely he would know the reason considering you're married. Are the family's partners invited? Opie says there was no formal invitation for the rehearsal dinner, just a text message. BFF texted husband separately to let him know I'm not invited. Most of the wedding party is single, but one of the groomsmen is married to a bridesmaid, so they're both obviously invited. One of the groomsmen has a girlfriend, but she isn't going to the wedding at all, so it's not an issue. Commenter says, you are overreacting. It's not a big deal. It's just a rehearsal dinner, and you don't know the guy. Opie says, just for clarity, I know him. I've hosted him at my house when he visited, even before husband and I moved in together, since husband lived in a studio. We're just not super close because I've only seen him like 5 times over 11 years. A commenter says, it's weird, but do you really want to go? Go explore the city, take a nap, go get your nails done. Opie says the wedding is in a place where it's not super safe to go out alone. It would probably be fine, but husband doesn't want me to leave the hotel. Commenter says, not overreacting. This is stupid. Your family. This isn't partners or no partners. Your husband's family is going. You are his family. Just say, hey, you mentioned no partners, but obviously my entire family is invited. It would be pretty strange to say OP isn't invited, so I assume she's coming along. All he needs to say. Commenter replies saying, was his family invited for being his family though? It's likely they were invited because they knew and have relationships with the groom. They're not the husband's +4. They're their own guests. Opie says this is mostly correct. Mother-in-law and father-in-law are close with BFF's parents. One sister-in-law had a bad relationship with BFF. The other is not close, but she's underage, so it makes sense that she'd be going with her parents. A commenter says everyone is overreacting. It sucks you aren't invited, but it is what it is. You barely know him. It's fine for sister-in-law to skip it. It's an invitation, not a summons. She can politely decline any invitation she receives, but calling it boycotting is a very drama with a capital D. Presumably she's an adult, so mother-in-law and father-in-law can't stop her, and having an opinion is even more overreacting in drama. Her giving into their drama is more drama. Drama on drama on drama. She should skip it, politely, and bond with you. Everyone else should carry on their day like chill adults. OP simply responds, "Yeah, I think you're right." A commenter says, "It's shitty of the groom not to include you on this fact pattern. 10-hour commute where he invited the rest of your husband's family, but he also probably didn't think it through. And I get that kicking off the drama with the sister-in-law was accidental, but doing nothing to diffuse that after the fact, to me feels wrong. Are you overreacting for feeling frustrated? No. It's a normal thing to feel, but are you overreacting by having any conversation with a sister-in-law about a boycott and doing anything other than diffusing her anger? Definitely. Just find a cool activity and consider yourself lucky. You don't know this guy that well, and you probably would have had kind of a shitty time at a mass dinner with a bunch of strangers." OP responds one more time and says, "I did not have a conversation with sister-in-law about boycotting. I texted her yesterday about their plans and she said they were going to the rehearsal dinner and asked why I wasn't going. I told her that spouses weren't invited. That was the end of our conversation. She brought it up with husband and their partners earlier today. I didn't have a chance to talk to her again until after I posted this, and I told her she should go. She still doesn't want to go for other reasons." There's a lot of comments on this talking about the BFF probably didn't think this through rather than deliberately slighting OP, but OP says in the comments that, which some of these people might have not seen to be fair, that the BFF sent a separate text to her husband that OP is not invited. So for me, this isn't some sort of oopsie moment. This is like, I'm letting you know you're not welcome you're not coming to our rehearsal dinner, which I just found personally very strange. I know a lot of people going down the overreacting route, but if I was inviting people, especially my BFF, to my rehearsal dinner, I'd ensure that their partner is also invited. So I'm really wondering what's going on in the background here. Because if I was OP's husband, I would want to know why my wife was excluded from that rehearsal dinner, specifically her, when no one else is. There's a reason behind it. And I find it kind of weird that the husband just sort of like, okay then, fair enough. What's the reason? But OP did update the post and says, "My post didn't get a ton of attention, but I wanted to thank everyone who took the time to reply. It gave me a bit of a reality check. Unfortunately, things have gone a bit sideways. I'm making this post to provide a small update, and then I'm logging out of this account forever. I called sister-in-law after I made my post yesterday to tell her that she shouldn't skip the rehearsal dinner on my behalf. She told me that she still wasn't going to go, and that after talking to her parents about it, they were still not happy with their decision, but they understood. She told me there was some information I didn't know, but that it wasn't her place to tell me, and she encouraged me to talk to husband about it. The couple of you who said it seemed like I was being intentionally excluded, you were correct. Husband hadn't told me any of this because it has been a rough year and he wanted to spare my feelings. BFF and his wife don't like me, and that's why they don't want me there. The no partners thing was the excuse husband gave me to spare my feelings." What? Bloody hell. I guess there were a few incidents that contributed to their negative feelings towards me. Some I understand, others I don't. But of course, I don't need to agree with their reasoning. They're allowed to dislike me for any reason. It started when husband was supposed to fly out to visit BFF last year, and they were going to attend a concert together. He didn't end up going, but I had a miscarriage and passed the fetus the night before he was supposed to leave. A few months later, I flew BFF out to surprise husband for his birthday. It was apparently rude that I didn't also offer to buy his fiance's ticket. While they were visiting, I made a dinner one night that included one of the fiance's allergens, so she was only able to eat sides. This one, I completely agree, was inconsiderate of me. Anyway, husband and I are considering having me sit out of the wedding altogether. He's going to have a talk with BFF and ask what he and his fiancée prefer, so that it doesn't come off as another slight. Edit. Jesus, you guys are mean. Yesterday when I said I was disappointed that I was excluded from the rehearsal dinner, I was an overdramatic, insecure woman who couldn't stand to let my husband be away for a couple of hours. Today, I'm pathetic because I'm not being more dramatic, going scorched earth and divorcing my husband. Some of you are literally laughing at my misfortune. What the fuck is wrong with you? It has been less than 24 hours since I found all of this out. It has been 3 days since my husband found out that his best friend of more than 20 years, who has a very close relationship with his family, hates me. Give us a minute to process it. Damn. A commenter who was downvoted says, blaming you for a miscarriage is insane. However, blaming you for literally trying to kill his fiancée is legitimate. You knew about her allergy, but still used that ingredient. You're a danger to her, so I can see why they don't like you and want to exclude you. Opie says, trying to kill her? She has a mild shellfish allergy, and she still eats it if it's something she really likes because it's worth it. Her words. I forgot about it until they brought it up during dinner. It was definitely inconsiderate of me, but good God, I didn't attempt to murder the woman. Commenter says, your husband should be calling out his friend's garbage behavior. His fiancé expected you to pay for a plane ticket too? That's outrageous. Your husband should be rethinking this relationship with his friend. Opie says husband is planning on distancing himself after the wedding, but still wants to maintain some level of friendship because their families are close. He's also holding on hope that BFF will come around at some point. A commenter says this. They are mad you had a miscarriage, and hold on, your husband, the other half that created said fetus, decided to support and care for you. That alone is grounds to end the friendship. And the whole ticket thing. Rude. Even if they were married, he's your husband's BFF. If he wanted her to come, then they could have asked you if you were okay with her coming along, and they'd pay for the ticket. OP, your husband sucks. Sister-in-law rocks. OP says husband thinks that BFF doesn't understand the whole miscarriage thing because he's not in that stage of life where he's trying to start a family, and he thinks that BFF might come around to understand it later. I guess the thing that BFF had a hard time understanding was why husband couldn't leave since the miscarriage was already complete by the time of his scheduled flight. A commenter says, not overreacting. Please sit out that vile wedding. Do you really want to travel 8 hours for that misery? If your sister-in-law lives anywhere near you, tell her she can skip it too if she wants and then invite her over to your place to pop popcorn. And watch When Harry Met Sally instead of going anywhere near BFF. His hideous fiancé or any of your enabling in-laws. That includes your husband too, until he makes some major apologies and figures out that his loyalty should be to you and not his nasty BFF or his nasty parents. I'd love to know more of why sister-in-law doesn't like BFF. I have a feeling his true colors were obvious to her a long time ago, but no one in her family believed her because they were too busy trying to keep this family friendship afloat. If BFF is that big of a jerk now, he's been that big of a jerk for a long time, and I would bet you they all turned a blind eye because it was convenient. Like, no. We vacation with the arsehole fam every year, and they invite us over for pool parties and barbecues, and we can't lose that. Ugh. Time for them to face some consequences too, like their daughter and daughter-in-law calling them out and wanting nothing to do with them. You didn't say how old your sister-in-law is, but if she's over 21, feel free to bring out the wine and cocktails too. OP responds saying sister-in-law doesn't like BFF because she thinks he's immature and self-centered. The rest of the family doesn't exactly disagree, but they have a much higher tolerance level for it. I also think they feel indebted to him and his family because BFF's family helped husband's family through a really hard time years ago. I don't really want to go into detail about this, but the support they provided was really remarkable. I'm also not sure that my in-laws know the whole story. Sister-in-law knows because she called husband and he confided in her after I told her I wasn't invited to the rehearsal dinner. I'm not sure what exactly was relayed to their parents. A commenter says info. I'm really curious about the allergen thing. Did you know his fiancé was allergic to the food and only provided sides for her on purpose? Was it an oversight and you didn't even think about it, or did you not know at all? I mean, if you knew about her allergy, the fiancé could take that as an indication that you don't like her and all the other stuff is just icing on the cake to prove her point. And if you intentionally did that, you deserve to be excluded from the entire event, but because of their love for your husband's family, they included you in the wedding. If it was an oversight on your part, I'm not sure you will ever be able to convince them it was not. But you should be gracious and do your best moving forward to make amends. Go to the wedding. After, send them a note, letting them know that you had a good time and that you understand why you were not invited to the rehearsal. Briefly explain that you never meant to cause this drama and the allergen thing was a stupid oversight. Do not dwell on it or explain yourself. That would indicate you did it purposely. got caught and are trying to gaslight. Just state you are very sorry for the mistake and hope to make it up to them sometime in the future. Wish them a prosperous life together and end the letter. Then never mention it again, but try to follow through. Do this exact same thing if you didn't know about her allergen, except instead of saying it was an oversight, say you didn't know about it and that you were sorry it caused her discomfort, but everything else the same. I'm really surprised no one else is looking at it this way. The allergen issue is the only issue here. If this post was made by the bride, everyone would be saying that the bride shouldn't marry the BFF because he's allowing OP to come and not standing up for her. OP, you caused this whether or not it was intentional. It is your place to try and fix it without adding more to the drama. OP responded saying, I wasn't going to respond to any more comments, but I feel the need to clarify this. Husband had mentioned the fiance's allergy to me in passing more than a year prior to the incident. He had visited BFF and the three of them went out to dinner. The fiance ordered crab cakes and then spent the rest of the evening sick in the only bathroom at BFF's apartment, which annoyed husband. By the time BFF and his fiance visited, I'd forgotten about it. I apologized profusely at the time and offered to make fiance something else, but she declined. OP then quoted the last commenter saying about I'm really surprised no one else is looking at it this way, and the allergen being the only issue, and then says, I don't feel super inclined to fix things with people who are mad at me for having a poorly timed miscarriage. I'm really surprised that you think that's not an issue, or at least not an issue that's as significant as the allergen thing. The commenter says, I didn't see the previous post, but here it sounds like BFF is standing up for his fiancé. Complaints about not buying her an airplane ticket, allergen meal, while your partner does not stand up for you. And neither do his parents. In fact, it sounds like his parents don't like you either. Not overreacting, but consider if you can be happy long term with him if almost everyone closest to him hates you. OP says, my in-laws do not hate me, her sister-in-law, because I don't totally trust my husband's word right now. My in-laws are people pleasers who do not want to rock the boat with a family who's been really good to them in hard times. They think BFF is wrong, but believe he's a good person who will come around in time. OP added one more little final update at the very end of this and says, neither husband nor I will be going to the wedding. We're looking into couples counseling and putting our plans of starting a family on hold. I found the whole focusing on the allergen thing kind of wild to me, because the friendship was pretty much over when they was angry about a husband having to cancel his trip because he prioritized OP when she had a miscarriage, and then being angry about it rather than being concerned and caring. It's just fucking wild. Getting upset that someone stayed home to support their partner through a miscarriage is a complete lack of empathy, and it told me everything that I needed to know about their characters. They resented OP for being supported during grief. That's no misunderstanding, and I'd be asking a lot of questions about anyone in this story apart from sister-in-law and OP, of course, because there's a lot of questionable shit within this story. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from LawfulnessDue8961 from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit, and it says, am I the arsehole for wanting to take our cat with me after my wedding? Hi. This issue has led to fights in my house the past week, and at this point I thought I'll ask here. I'm going to get married in a few months and currently live with my parents. 6 years ago, my aunt died and had gifted me my cat for my 18th when he was a kitten. She knew I loved cats. I'd always wanted one, so that was her gift, and it was the best gift I've ever received. I was the one who organized his diet, litter trained him, named him Casper, got him to respond to his name, had him snuggle with me, had huge arguments with my parents in the initial days over him, and defended him. Over time, Casper became an integral part of our family. Last week, we were just planning on how to start moving my stuff to my fiance's place, and I also brought up his cat tree. My younger sister was like, why would you take his cat tree? You're not taking Casper. I said, of course I am. He's my cat, and my fiance loves cats too. I had already discussed this with him. My parents too were against taking him, and my sister started full on sobbing. I was beside myself and we had an argument. I told them Casper was a gift for me. I'd raised him when he was a kitten, and I brought up to my parents how they used to say he's too much work and a mess in the earlier days. Since then, whenever the topic has been brought up, my sister gets heated. My parents low-key side with her, saying Casper is used to the house and cats are creatures of habit. I've told them they have 3 months to make their peace with the fact that Casper is coming with me. Am I the arsehole? Edit to address some frequent questions. My college was in the same city we live in, as is my job. I commuted to college from home, and no, my fiancé and I haven't been living together. The first time my dad and I took him to the vet, he was registered under my name. Until I got a job after college, I would do his expenditures with my pocket money, and my parents would also pay. Since I've been working, I do the bulk of spending on him, but my parents do too. My sister is 17, and yes, we'll be living in the same city, and she'll be seeing him often. It's the fact that my parents are siding with her, and not even just to support her, but out of their own accord. They too have been saying Casper should stay here. I tried to bring up them adopting a new cat. A commenter says to the OP, info, at the end of the day, what's best for the cat? If Casper is your shadow when you're around and would pine without you, then the only decision is to take Casper with. If Casper is now closer to your parents or sister now, or prefers to hang out in a certain spot in the house over and above spending time with you, then Casper should stay at the house. Does Casper ever get anxious, show signs of separation anxiety or depression when you're not at home? Like if you go away for a few days. What about if Casper gets taken away from the house, like for trips to the vet? How does Casper cope in those scenarios? Also, does your fiancé have any other animals that Casper have to acclimatize to? Has your fiancé spent much time with Casper? Is Casper comfortable with them? If you can get a clear answer from asking these questions, then this should make the decision easy. Opie says thanks a lot for this. A bit begrudgingly because you've made me rethink stuff, lol. I love Casper, and I know he'll be happy with me, and I know my family loves him too, and he knows he's loved. I'll think over this. A commenter says not the arsehole. Get your aunt to confirm Casper was a gift for you. End of issue. Casper is your property. He is attached to you, not your parents' home. He will adapt just fine to your new place as long as you are there. Your sister can get her own cat if that's what the family wants. Commenter says, who is Casper's person? Who does he snuggle with, meow for, sleep with, etc.? We have 2 cats and they have chosen different people in our family to be their person. Will the other house have other pets Casper has to live with? Will he have to leave any other pets that he has grown up with this whole time? All of this should go into determining if Casper's home is with you at the new place or the place he has lived his whole life. Another commenter says not the arsehole. What do those people not understand about a gift? About your property? Is there a chance your aunt would weigh in on this, in your favor? Cats are creatures of habit, and also clever, adaptable creatures. Last year I happily rehomed a family of 3 cats, not mine, to a new owner and different premises. It's low of your family to pretend they're worried about the cat's happiness when they just want to steal your aunt's gift. Here's a wild idea. They could get themselves a cat of their own and keep their mitts off of yours. Opie says yes, I can 100% have my aunt confirm Casper was a gift for me. She used to have a cat when I was little, and I'd be so happy to go to her place when I was little to see her cat. That's why she gifted me Casper. A commenter says, if your parents don't object to getting a cat for your sister, then why not take her to an adoption center and help her pick out a kitty of her own? Make it a bonding activity between the 2 of you. Promise your sister that you'll send her weekly updates on Casper. Remind your sister that she will still get to visit both of you, so no one is going away forever. And she can do the same for a kitten/cat. This is a big change in both your lives, and sis may be having trouble adjusting. How old is your sister? Right now, I think that little sis is probably feeling a bit down. You're currently the center of attention with all the wedding planning, and now you are taking her friend. Help her make a new one. Opie says my sis is 17, and yes, we'll be living in the same city, she'll be seeing him often. It's the fact that my parents are siding with her, and not even just to support her out of their own accord. They too have been saying Casper should stay here. I tried bringing up them adopting a new cat. And someone says, info, who takes the cat to the vet? Opie says any one of us do. But even that, like back then I researched the vaccines he'll need, which vet we should go to, and took him to the vet with my dad. Now it's any one of us when it's his date for his regular shots. I was really conflicted about this one, especially because I came into it initially just thinking along the lines of, Opie's pet, end of story kind of thing. But the first commenter talking about info and the cat's well-being what does he do around the house, etc., etc. Made me think and pause at the same time. And then I was reading comments, talking about property and stealing a gift, and I think it just, in some ways, and I might get hate for it, it just ignores the emotional reality behind it. Because, if I was a family member in that position and that cat's been in the house for 6 years and has clearly become a family member and loved by all, of course, people around the cat are going to be devastated at the thought of him just leaving. And I believe the commenters are right in what's best for Casper in the end, and only OP truly knows that. I just feel like as a bunch of humans here who's struggling and having a hard time letting go. And I think if I was in that position, I'd feel exactly the same. I'm getting emotional thinking about it myself. But OP did come in with an update and said thank you for the feedback to my original post. I took comfort in the fact that I was well within my rights to take Casper with me and was determined to do that. A few comments, one in particular, had stressed that I should make sure to do what's best for Casper. Despite our arguments, I got the feeling my parents and sister, or my parents at least, had accepted that Casper would be coming with me. My dad had talked about how I should introduce him briefly to my fiance's house in advance, so it seems like they had accepted it. One thing that I'd been asked to consider was who his person was. While as a kitten, Casper was only bonded to me, especially when my parents were still against him. He is a family cat now. He'll sometimes curl up on my bed when he is sleeping, sometimes on my sister's. When my mum's making food, he'll sit as a loaf next to her on the counter while she goes over the recipe with him. And as far as laps go, anyone is fair game for him. My mum will often hold him in her lap when she's watching the news and talk to him about what's happening in the news. Whenever my dad goes to the meat shop, he especially gets liver for him too, which we boil and feed him. And my sister loves dressing him up, which he does without resistance. Lol. So I just couldn't say Casper was only bonded to me and not them. Nor could I say that I'm the only one who is bonded to him. It's a bit unfair to my fiance, but what made me decide was when I was talking to him, and he said we could make a cat door for the cat when we moved in. It's stupid to nitpick, but I can't remember the last time Casper was called the cat by us. And we don't let him out. In fact, we had called someone to make sure any holes or openings were all sealed. So I've decided to leave Casper with my family. I think it's best for him. I can't imagine how it will feel to be without him. He's my baby, and just typing this has gotten me crying, but I'll visit him every 2 days. I haven't told my family yet in case I break and change my mind, but I will tell them soon. Thank you. A commenter said to OP on the back of this, that's smart. It sounds like your fiance's heart is in the right place, but he's still basically a stranger to Casper, and vice versa. Under the circumstances, it makes sense to leave Casper in his current home with multiple beloved family members rather than a huge disruption of a new home and new person to get used to, especially since you and your fiance will hopefully be spending a lot of time focusing on each other. OP says thanks. I'm so torn between wanting him to never forget me, but also not wanting him to miss me. Lol. But yeah, I know he's going to be safe and loved here, and that's what matters in the end. A commenter says, I think you're so kind to Casper to give him the situation that seems best in the home, and with the people that are most familiar. I really hope that you get to have another kitty of your own in your new home one day. Another commenter says, it might be a good idea for you and your partner to adopt a cat. I had to leave my cat at my parents when I got married as I was moving overseas, and while technically possible, the strain would have been too much for her. In the last 21 years, we have had 3 cats. Though the first one ended up living with my in-laws as he had bonded more with my father-in-law than us when we lived with them. But having a cat that belongs to your old family and a cat that belongs to your new one is probably better. Make sure you and your partner are on the same page regarding indoor/outdoor cats though. A commenter says, please feel at peace for knowing Casper is in a loving home with people who are always there for him. It's a good chance that between your dad, your mum and your sister, he will never be alone, never wondering whether he's secure. And there was a mix of comments below this. I think the majority of people were saying that they're proud of OP for making the right choice and it was the right thing for Casper and sounds like he's in a very loved home. Some other people were questioning, saying that people have guilted OP to give up her cat, which personally I don't think is true. I think it just helped OP slow down and really think it through. Think what's best for Casper. In the end, she knows what Casper's life is like, and it sounds like he's living the life of luxury. And he was bonded to the whole household. And it does sound like she's going to get to visit him quite often at the same time. And I think it was, for me personally, it was a pretty sweet update. Just as a random side note, talking about like pets bonding to areas, you know, Poppy was originally my mum and dad's dog. And when they both passed away, Poppy came to live with me. And it's still so strange when I go to visit like some family members who live right next to where my parents used to live. As soon as we're like about half a mile out from where he used to live, Poppy starts acting like she knows what's going on, like she can smell the area, etc. It's really sweet and sad at the same time. What do you guys make of this situation? Maybe you got a different take on the matter. Is it something that you've been through before? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the story, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.